Forgive Me Father is a new first-person shooter that mixes in a more retro-like design, with some light RPG progression and a Lovecraft-inspired art style. Forgive Me Father does a good job of sucking in the player right away. The violence is extreme and delightfully over the top. The first level has a good simple design to it, from the key hunting to the continual action. Within the early access build, you have access to a few different guns, and fight through a nice variety of levels. There are some issues that I encountered as part of the current build, and I am hopeful that these get ironed out as the game receives more updates. So far, Forgive Me Father is a flawed yet very fun game. As I stated before, Forgive Me Father is a first-person shooter, and the gameplay is primarily focused on the action. The gun sounds are pretty good, with the Tommy gun sounding as you would expect, and the shotgun having the appropriate amount of boom to it. What really sells the presentation of the gunfights is the over-the-top violence. Headshots will often cause enemies' heads to pop like a balloon filled with blood. Shotguns will explode enemies in half, and no matter what gun you are using, it will always be satisfying to dispatch your enemies. You have a few different weapons within the early access build, from a pistol, shotgun, machine guns, among a few others. In addition to your weapons, you have some skills that you can use, like healing and other offensive options. The skills factor into your madness meter. As you attack enemies, you will slowly build up your madness bar. Damaging enough enemies will eventually cause your madness level to go up. Once you have moved up in level, this will provide you with a use for your skills, and is your main means to regenerate the ability to use your skills again. Higher madness levels can improve your damage output, along with your defense. Now, if you go a while without damaging anyone, then your madness will reset, and you will need to build it all back up again from the beginning. This system actively pushes the player into seeking out enemies to fight and stay within a constant state of action. The enemy variety is decent as well. The visual designs to the different monsters, zombies, and supernatural entities are awesome. Each of them act and attack very differently. Some are more melee focused, like the zombie enemies, while others are more range oriented as they try to hit you from far away. Then you have some really unique ones, like crazy patients in the asylum that transform into monsters. One thing that I really liked about the enemies is how there is some effort put into how the game will try to throw you off balance. For example, sometimes headshotting a zombie will cause them to grab their head and put it back on, requiring you to headshot them again. Sometimes enemies will use one of their arms to slowly crawl towards you when you initially thought that they were dead on the ground, and other times explosive barrels can turn out to be an enemy that will act like a form of a mimic, and then lunge at you to hit you with explosive damage. I really enjoyed the game's visual variety as well. You will fight through a hedge maze, city, asylum, rooftops, and a graveyard. The levels have some fun one-off situations, like in the first level. It will provide you with two paths to go in. If you choose the one pointing towards the exit, it actually pops you into a large encounter with some trippy visuals. In another level, you will be chased by a large foe and need to move as quickly as possible. These situations help to bring some gameplay variety to all of the shooting. Most levels are bookended by these challenging combat arenas, where you are given a few supplies and need to fend off waves of enemies. These are a good way to bookend each of the levels. With this being made in the style of a retro FPS, I do like the inclusion of finding secrets. I just wish that there were a bit more of them. There are a few in each of the levels, but they can be really easy to find. There is a darkness mechanic that is used a bit as well, where you will need to traverse dark areas and rely on your lamp to light the way. But while you are using your lamp, you cannot shoot at all. Boss fights help to bookend acts within the game and are fun, larger fights. Forgive Me Father also features a fun, light RPG progression system. As you defeat enemies, you will earn experience points, and once you have enough, you will level up. Each time you level up, you will get one skill point to use. You can upgrade some passive abilities like being able to carry more ammo and earn more experience per kill. The most interesting of the upgrades are how you can change how your guns operate. For example, the pistol can be upgraded in one of two ways. You can opt to turn the pistol into being dual wielded, or you can use a single automatic pistol. The SMG is a burst firing weapon when you first use it, that can be upgraded into a grenade launcher or a fully automatic weapon. weapon. I really like this area of the game since it provides two paths for your weapons, and allows for some good player expression depending on what you want to use. Forgive Me Father has a great visual look to it. It is a nice mix of a vibrant comic book with heavy influences from the horror genre, and with a Lovecraftian design. This makes each location feel unique, along with allowing for a visually inviting experience. Overall, I had a solid time with this game, especially in its current early access form. The shooting action is very good, but there are a decent amount of flaws that I encountered while playing it. Many of the melee enemies like the zombies do not produce much sound when they are walking towards you, and this can cause you to take several hits without even knowing that an enemy was there. I feel like enemies should have some louder footsteps so that the player can properly assess the environment by receiving more information by having the melee enemies produce some louder footsteps. There's also some odd things I noticed in the build, like the key bindings for the controller not working as they stated in the menu. For example, I had a button in the binding say that my Y button did nothing, but it was how I needed to use my lamp, but I didn't know this by looking at the options. I think something like this is probably just an oversight and will be easily fixed. Another odd decision is how the save system works. You can only save at set points, which seems at odds with this being a retro style FPS. You should be able to quick save and manually save whenever you want to in this game. And while the levels are not too long, they are long enough and the save points are spaced out just a bit too far apart that dying can mean you need to repeat a few areas over again. I also think the difficulty needs better balancing. I was playing on normal and the first level was pretty easy with some challenging spots, but parts of the second and especially the third had some very hard parts. I mostly enjoyed the challenge, but I felt like with it being on the normal setting, there should have been just a few more healing items to pick up. It feels like the game needs more tweaking in this area, because the end of the second level and the third level can feel like two big early difficulty spikes. The game does hit a nice stride after you get the Tommy gun during the third level. There is also another design decision that doesn't really make any sense. So during the campaign, you will earn experience points for killing enemies. After you beat a mission, you are given the option to restart the level again. You can use this as a way to grind out for more experience points to get more levels under your belt. So since I saw this, I felt like I should be able to go and use the level selector at the main menu to go back to any prior level and grind for some experience points. But when you go into a level from the level select screen, you will earn XP, but you will not keep any of it, and none of the save points are there as well. So if you cannot keep any of the experience, why would I even replay a level this way? This seems like a bad choice and a bit of a useless option since none of your progression carries over. I hope this changes as the game is updated. As it stands right now, Forgive Me Father is mostly awesome whenever you are shooting at stuff, but there are some areas that need to be tweaked and ironed out to provide an even better experience. Overall, I enjoyed my time with the early access build of Forgive Me Father. The action is extremely violent with satisfying impact to all of the shooting. The art style is inviting and awesome. There is a lot of visual personality to the game. There are some areas like the difficulty that need to be tweaked to provide a bit more of a consistent experience, along with how the progression works when replaying older levels from the level select menu. According to the Steam page, the full game will launch with 2 different characters. If each character has some different skills, weapons, and even different upgrade trees, that could greatly enhance the replay value. The full game is broken up into 5 different acts with a total of 25 levels. The first 12 levels will be in the launch build, and more will be added in through content updates. The game is very promising. I love the use of how your weapons can change depending on what skills you use. The visuals mixed with the solid action are the 2 big hooks for the game. Overall, I would recommend that you keep an eye out on this one for its full release, and if you are interested in it a lot, then maybe jump in during its early access period. If you are interested in being notified of new videos, please hit the subscribe button and bell. And if you would like to support the channel and get early access to content, please check out my Patreon. All of the links will be at the end of this video and within the description. And thank you very much for watching.